Yeah, we're shifting to our next session. Connie Kwan, welcome to the show. Product-led growth and AI. Connie is the CEO for Storyteller and former product leader at Atlassian and Microsoft. How have you been?
Great. How are you?
We're super excited. Yeah, else is joining us, Kristen Berman. I read your newsletter, as many thousands of other go-to-market leaders. Tell us more about it. Shameless plug.
Yeah. So I actually have a couple newsletters, but so CEO, behavioral scientist, Rational Labs, we understand user psychology and then build products that align with it, basically getting people to do anything. And AI with AI it comes good and bad to drive us to take action. So Rational Labs has a newsletter. We have a Substack, Product Teardowns, and then I was just featured in Kyle's Growth Unhinged with a nice article on kind of how product leaders could think about positioning AI features.
Amazing. Connie, what is, I don't know, the number one product-led trend that you're seeing now and how AI is impacting it?
Number one product-led trend. I need to think about that one a little bit. I would say there's a merging of the functions because of AI. So product engineering design are merging very heavily. Folks that are in product are able to code using Cursor so they can put together prototypes really quickly. They can generate designs and then vice versa for everybody else. So the future of how, what we call the triad is going to evolve is going to be interesting.
I don't want to steal the show here. Let's just get started. Let's dive into it. We can do a round of introductions, but we prefer not to. The stage is yours, Connie.
Okay, sounds good. We don't want to do introductions, not even like a one-liner for folks?
One-liner is fine, but our folks love just to dig into the topic right away.
Yeah, sounds good. I think a little context is helpful. Let's just go around the table here. I'll go on my screen in order. Maria's the first one, and just give us the 60-second version.
Great. Hi, everyone. I'm Maria Thomas. I'm a Chief Product Officer, board member, and I'm a growth and AI enthusiast. So I embrace AI in product development, in our go-to-market motions, in personalization of onboarding, and excited to be here. I'll
Awesome.
popcorn over to Betsy.
Sounds good.
Hi, everyone. I'm a product management leader with 20 years of experience in SaaS, and that's across a lot of different industries. And as a PM, I'm naturally curious and fundamentally believe in constant iterations. The only way that we can make the product and the processes better is being early adopters of emerging tech. And I freaking love AI because it enables me to solve the problems that I'm facing and that my team's facing. And I cannot wait to talk about all the practical applications I've been experimenting with and learning about the things that this panel is doing. So let's go.
Sounds good. Kristen.
Hello, I'm a behavioral scientist, CEO of Rational Labs. We've worked with kind of the top tech companies, LinkedIn, Intuit, Microsoft, and then a fair amount of and retail companies, healthcare companies, Optum, Walmart, to drive behavior change. And so we're really thinking about the small details of life that get people to do anything, and then integrating that into the top of the funnel and the product. Excited to be here.
Awesome. And Dan.
Hey everybody, Dan here, CEO and founder of Best Defense. Spent most of my career in executive leadership positions, leading teams at Fortune 100 companies. Spent most of my time in development operations, development, DevSecOps, solutions architecture. We focus primarily around being able to obviously have like risk mitigation for end customers, compliance support, and being proactive with your alerts and incidents as they come up to be able to drive that customer retention and drive that customer trust.
Awesome. Very nice to meet all of you. I'm Connie Kwan, and I help founders and executives unlock their inner storyteller. I'm working on 2 companies right now. One is For Storyteller, where there's a class on thought leadership and storytelling. And then I have a done for you company that I'm working on right now called Guest Spark AI, using AI to do done for you thought leadership. And my background's in product as well for about 20 years. So let's dive in today. Trust and brand. So we're going to go through this flow where we're going to talk about product from the user journey. So top of funnel, first awareness and acquisition, through the sign up experience, retention strategies, and then execution challenges in terms of using AI in the products. And all of it is being touched by AI. So I think that will be an interesting flow for us as product folks to talk about it in that order. So first of all, let's talk about top of funnel engagement. Trust in brands is shifting more towards individuals. 82% of B2B buyers, according to Edelman in 2024, is more likely to engage with a company whose leadership team is more visible online. So my question for the group is, how can AI-driven content creation tools, and this talking about acquisition now, right, enhance the efforts for a brand to drive top of funnel engagement? And I'll kick it off with Kristen here, who's doing the behavior science. So tell us more about what the data is showing right now.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think if you've been in kind of marketing or product-led growth, we know that there has been a trend to go from static landing pages, static content to much more dynamic content. And, sometimes this looks like personalized landing page based on channel. But in general, it takes advantage of, people are present bias. They actually want to do the thing that they are motivated to do right now. In a perfect world, we want to learn about everything. We care about all the features, but actually we care about the one thing that we're searching for in this moment. And so, the opportunity for AI content is to be more targeted into what people are actually looking for, actually want to accomplish in the moment, and that content can actually be more helpful to people. And obviously, kind of, we're looking for trust signals to say, is this true? We live in a very noisy world. We don't have much time. Our attention is a scarce resource. And so most of trust is built on these types of heuristics and credibility signals that you get. And I think that's kind of one thing that AI content creators or tools need to really understand is that people just don't have that much attention. We have kids, we have work, we have our phones, and like we're looking for the real thing of trust. And those types of signals, even in an AI generated world, don't go away. And they may be reinvented, but we're looking for some sense of I'm not getting duped.
Awesome. You mentioned earlier that there's customization and it's trying to target the specific need of the user, right? People coming to the same tool might be using it for different reasons. So are you actually are you seeing clients create different landing pages or different pricing pages or different, so like customizing all the way through the entire acquisition experience?
We work with some of the top tech clients and we're not seeing it yet. I would say this is the tools that are not there. The concept is there, and I trust that we'll get there. Most of these companies are doing some sort of personalized landing page based on channel, based on ad, etc. And that is a big leap forward in conversion. But I have yet to see a company doing real dynamic pricing and landing page stuff. And don't doubt that that's kind of where the tools and infrastructure will take us.
Yeah.
I don't know if other people have different experiences, but we're kind of
Anyone
embedded
else
in the
want to
top.
chime in here on the topic?
Yeah.
I'm just having Kristen kick us off, but feel free to chime in on any of these.
Yeah, I was going to jump in here with the from product-led lens specifically. Kristen, completely agree. The concept is there. That's the dream. That's what AI is going to empower for us, right? So ultimately, let's take it all the way to user onboarding in product, right? The dream is that every user, not just to their landing page on the marketing side, but all the way into product, it's infinitely customized and personalized for them. Again, tools are not quite there, but I am very excited for that to happen. And, to a degree, we've all been doing this level of personalization already. But can't wait to connect all the dots. And that's whoever is building those tools out there, infrastructure side, please build them faster. We can't wait to implement them.
Awesome. Any other thoughts on this one? I'll move on to the next question.
Maybe I'll add one contrarian fact is that as the world becomes easier, actually, I think people value things that take a little bit more time. So if you magically imagine going to a therapist and then they just give you advice immediately, you'd be like, I just don't trust you. I haven't said anything. And so in some ways, this idea of giving our opinion is actually very helpful to trust. And this
Right.
is contrarian to all like friction is bad, sort of conversion flows, but actually goes to increase the endowment that a user feels about the solution that they're getting. And so I do worry that as magical experiences happen, tech teams will release them and be shocked that people don't trust the advice, the recommendations, the personalization because the user has not had a touched it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great segue. I actually wanted to ask the next question, which is how has establishing individual thought leadership within the organization add to building trust with users? How is that trust being built now, especially with a lot of generated content data? There's less trust there, and people are turning to, oh, I know this individual, I trust what they're saying, and that's how I'm going to attribute trust now. So how has that shifted this acquisition path in terms of almost word of mouth? Well, it's almost like we're going back one step and trying to associate trust through the network that we know. Maria, you worked at Buffer, you're at Rebrandly. You want to kick us off on this discussion?
Absolutely. So yes, authentic thought leadership is something that is highly effective, not at the company level and at the individual level. So let me break it down a little bit. So Buffer is a well-known company not only for its products but also for its thought leadership in the area of transparency. And for example, as a company, Buffer decided that it discloses all of its financials, employees' salaries, every challenging business decision. And what does it have to do with social media marketing, which is what Buffer really builds? It's a kind of two different topics. So one of my key advice, with AI or without, is for brands, companies to really choose a topic that connects to their truth and to their values, embrace it, and maybe don't pick something that's very much like, I'll use the American expression, an apple pie choice. So something like, don't choose maybe, oh, let's make internet safe, right? Something that everyone would agree with. Choose something that's a little bit more unique to you. But again, I stress that it may have something to do with your product and what you actually what you build, but it can very much be about how you operate, what values you believe in, what are topics that you really want to be leading in. So, and in that sense, how does AI help companies and brands, build that strong social presence? Authenticity is key, but so is quantity. So as a growth leader, I stress to teams that, yes, it's about high quality, authentic content, but please don't neglect the frequency of how often you share in your blogs, how frequently your blog's going out, how often you publish on social. I had to push myself personally as a Gen Xer to become a thought leader and become much more visible on LinkedIn. And honestly, everyone, it really comes down to just do it often. Don't stress or worry too much about that you're going to make a mistake. Let it be a little bit controversial. And another thing that I drive within companies where I lead is make sure that everyone on the team really embraces thought leadership. Engineers, build in public, right? Share what you are building today. What challenges you face. All of that contributes to encouraging more people discovering your company and discovering you. It's a really win-win. It helps your company, your product succeed. You can, if you're not comfortable speaking about yourself, talk about the team, talk about wonderful people you work with. That's a great one. It's easy for introverts to pursue. But as far as, again, use of AI, AI in these cases is really great for ideation. So at Rebrandly, we use AI in that way. We don't have AI write our blog posts, or we don't have them write our social posts, but it helps us just collect and solicit ideas, organize them. And then for those of us for whom English is not a native language, it does help with just pure copy finessing and streamlining saves time, like pick a great title and help, automate this process as much as possible.
That's really good advice. Betsy, go ahead.
Yeah, I want to add to what Maria was saying. I love that you said of the permission. It's giving your team permission and helping, especially the introverts. I work with a lot of engineers, and they have fantastic ideas, but they don't want to grab the microphone, so to speak. And I love the concept of having that hackathon or that pitch meeting and using AI to how we can do this faster. The idea of using it as a strategy partner to sound better in how you're writing your posts or how you're articulating the information really helps to have that sounding board. And I found through my work with Match and with Trimble, I mean, you couldn't get two opposite ends of the spectrum as product. Those types of permissions of using the technology to get out there to write the information and to talk about what's going on, because a lot of these teams have really great information, but they're in these little funnels and pockets and saying, oh, I couldn't possibly speak on behalf of the customer, couldn't possibly speak on behalf of the company. So I love that thought of giving everybody permission to be advocates.
Oh, I think I feel so attacked, Betsy, with the introverted engineer comment. Um, so no. It's very true. It's very true. And I think it really also comes down to authenticity, like we were saying, right? Being able to have full transparency, being able to add proper citation on material. When it comes down to, right, hey, AI is just generating all this random stuff. Well, it's like, well, where did it even come from? Right? As people put more and more stuff into these LLMs, right, that goes into the training data, whether it's accurate or not, these things start to hallucinate. But being able to have like actual valid citations around your content, I think is extremely important, right? And if you are going the route of generating out your media, your marketing material, maybe you're subscribed to certain RSS feeds around security rights to be able to inform your end customers that there were data breaches, right? Because it's our data at the end of the day. We want to know when this is happening. I think it's extremely important just to be able to let them know, like, hey, this is where the information is coming from. Hey, it came directly from CISO or from the FBI. And sure, it might be an automated message post, but that's you being proactive for your end customers, let them know that something happened.
Thank you for that perspective, Dan. Awesome. Let's shift gears to talking about more mid-funnel, so growth strategies. According to OpenView, who did a report on this, PLG companies are growing 50% faster than traditional SaaS companies. And AI is helping by automating A/B testing, optimizing conversion funnels, and accelerating product discovery. So my question is, how do you measure the effectiveness of AI-driven growth initiatives in a PLG motion company? What are some of the KPIs that matter the most? And I'll kick this question over to Betsy to get us started here.
Oh, giving me the mic. Okay. Um,
Yeah.
I think anytime that you're looking at your key performance indicators, you have to make sure that are you measuring the right thing? And the way I like to look back is first of all, look at what the challenge is that you're trying to solve for. So in the case of if you're trying to have the onboarding go faster, what are your blockers? And I like to create the KPIs for the team of going, all right, we have a mountain of user guides that we need to update. Let's go ahead and put key performance indicators on the volume of the user guides we're going to be updating and how quickly we can get those done. Um, and you then go to the conclusion of going, all right, I'm going to need AI. I'm going to need to measure these and get them out faster and validate them. I think that's one of the key points of how am I going to validate, to what Daniel was saying earlier, are they available? Are they accurate? Where are my sources? And getting them out and testing them.
Yeah, I'll jump in next, Connie, if that's all right.
Yes.
So as a product leader, one of part of my role is to evaluate our product and design operations and growth tech stack, so to speak, right? So it's ultimately comes down to tool selection. And to answer your question on how do I measure incorporating AI into successful growth operation, right? So let's take an example of observability tools. So observability tools such as Clarity, LogRocket, SmartLook, there are many of them that do maybe session replay so you can observe how users are getting through your funnel. I'll use an example of I recently got a demo and I'm very excited about implementing LogRocket. I'm not affiliated with them, but I genuinely am. And the reason is because it's just as all the other session replay tools, but it provides AI summaries. So what just happened? My growth team is better empowered. They just save time on analysis or where we have the biggest blockers in our funnel. They don't have to go create charts and graphs. So their time just got freed up to do more other valuable tasks, right? So any amount I can save my team time in analysis of understanding where we have friction in growth or what's the next greatest growth lever. I'm going to push them towards using that tool that empowers them more. That's really what it is fundamentally is, can I save my team time on that discovery? Same thing from Weary Brandly are a marketing analytics tool. We are implementing AI in a similar fashion, helping our customers get to insights faster, right? So let's say we provide analytics, rather than having customer review a long dashboard, we're putting insights right at the top of the page. So I think that's ultimately what it comes down to is saving time. So it's automation on steroids.
Yeah, I do believe that being able to get that feedback loop executed a bit faster, right? Get your customer feedback, figure out, if there's market affirmation for maybe even solutions or features that they're requesting or problems that they're having within the application, being able to do some basic level complexity analysis, figure out what the weight and value of that is for your organization to be able to put that into your product roadmap, right? To be able to get that executed, get it back into customers' hands, make their experience better. I think that there is a lot of value in that.
Is everyone seeing that you're using off-the-shelf tools for this, or are you doing it all in-house because the off-the-shelf tools aren't available yet? Using AI-driven analytics for analyzing the
I haven't seen anything for if you're using your standard CRMs, let's say you're using HubSpot, right? And you have your sales engineers on the phone or you're talking with customers trying to get their feedback, maybe seeing what deltas exist with your product, with what their holistic solution is, right? And I haven't really seen too many things out there about getting customer feedback and being able to do an automated, I don't want to call it a roadmap analysis for what that would look like implementing the feature, but generally it's just like, hey, how many times have people brought this up on the phone call and then saying like, okay, well, we've heard about this thing 10 times. We have to go have internal discussions about the feature. Let's try to figure out what the complexity is with the team. Let's figure out what the value is. I haven't really seen too much in terms of being more proactive about getting these things into the system, getting them analyzed, creating, maybe auto-generating out, epics or stories in Jira and letting you be able to see what that might look like, right? From a more product level perspective, and then being able to use those to be able to speak with your engineering team and maybe make the end goal a little bit more clear on a user story scenario. I haven't really seen too much for that. I think that if that does exist, I'd love to know about that tool. Otherwise, I think that that's something that where there's a hole in the market and someone could plug that rather and make some money off that.
Right. Same, Daniel. I think though you hit the nail on the head of it's determining what the patterns are, because when you're looking at things from all the different channels of what's coming in from customer service, what's coming in from sales, and trying to collate to say what's the stack ranking, and then look at the ROI to build that roadmap, AI really is that power tool. So I don't think we should undercut that and say that that's not valuable. But yeah, if somebody can write out the system to do that, sign me up. I want to be your first guinea pig for that, because that's golden.
I think there are these aggregators out there, but to do it does take a lot of onboarding because you have to integrate all your systems. And so the uptake and the viralness of this is very slow because to get it to actually work, you need all the systems in there. One thing that our team is thinking about now, because we work with all these companies integrating and launching AI features and trying to monetize them, is the value proposition of saving time versus doing more. So I'm skeptical that kind of AI saves people time. This is for sure true. And if it's saving me 5 minutes on a task, but it's doing 5 times a day, every time I save that 5 minutes, I don't fully understand that it adds up to a week of my life at the end of the year. It's very hard. Saving time is an abstract future concept versus doing more. I can believe I'm a better person. My team is mediocre employees. Of course, they can be better. And so we have this kind of more concrete understanding of doing more or being better. And so I think some of the AI features right now, and even within internal adoption, internal adoption can be low, especially these large companies, because they're defending their fiefdom. This is if you make qual research summaries easier, the qual research leader doesn't have a budget to hire vendors to go do qual research, and they've slashed their budget and they've slashed their headcount. Not ideal, but doing more, now all of a sudden you've made this person more productive. And so I think there should be a reframe here on this to get more to less cognitive dissonance and more excitement.
Love it.
Have you seen AI influence virality in PLG products? Are there specific features or models that are driving organic growth?
Yeah,
Maria.
yeah, 100%. I'll jump in on that since the products I typically oversee, they have a really large freemium model, typically just broad horizontal footprint. So Rebrandly is a type of product like that. Buffer, Bitly, and Sightly, all of them had similar approach. And there were these gifts of ability to actually drive virality. So let's say you are via product, you are publishing your social posts. Each social post can bring virality back to your product. Short links are branded and bring virality back to your product. And there are a lot of things you can do to basically put your virality also on steroids, right? So you're picking up a theme here. The principles of virality are still the same. You need to introduce your brand out into the wild and reach as many possible end users and prospects as possible. Now, can you make that very efficient? And again, back to personalization. So at Rebrandly, as we speak, the team is developing an AI-driven feature that allows to customize metadata for short links automatically for our customers. So they would use our API, and then automatically, based on content and descriptors and some inputs from the customer, the metadata of the links that goes out will promote the brand of the customer and also can help with virality for ourselves. So again, that's a use of AI within that flow, but the principles of virality are still the same, right? Like it's being able to have a watermark or powered by insert your brand ability, or just distribute your product visibility to as many people as possible. It would be great to hear if there are other examples of what folks are thinking about.
It sounds like in the mechanics of virality is similar, but that you can do it faster now with AI.
You can do
Any
it
other
faster
thoughts?
and smarter, right? So again, because you can give AI a lot more inputs, right? Rather than just promote my brand, but you can say like on this topic or in this context, or use these inputs versus these inputs. It can be everything from time of day to day of the week to what's the content behind your whatever the piece of value you're shipping. In our case, it's a link. So yeah, I think it can just simply absorb more and make the ultimate viral deliverable smarter and faster for you and your customers.
Yeah.
I
The
would
question
maybe
just
add.
came in. Go ahead,
Oh
Kristen.
yeah. I think that the virality of distribution delivery is clear. AI can like help with that. I'm gonna compare AI to Botox, by which if women get it, they don't talk about it. And that's hard for it to go viral. Because like you're like, oh, I did this AI content. You actually don't want to brag to your followers that you did that. You don't want to share that. Because of the trust and credibility thing that we talked about. And so I think we still have a little bit of ways to go. But by the way, this is shared in closed communities. So a group of friends will share that they get Botox. A group of founders will share that they're using AI generated content. So virality becomes less of a spray and pray sort of thing when you're saying, I use AI to improve my business operations, and more of a closed group thing where you're sharing how you are smarter, better, stronger, and helping your peers improve. But I think for sure delivery and distribution, people are fine to say a little bit more than actually like content creation or the core of your product. People have the intuition that this is yet not yet socially desirable from a user perspective. If you look at
Yeah.
people in Kansas, you're like they don't get that AI is going to help them.
Oh, yeah.
They're skeptical.
100%. And to be clear, like the use case I was describing would be more, again, it's back to do more or save time for the customer, that they don't need to manually enter all the inputs, that these inputs are already proposed and generated by AI, for example, right? And to be clear, like I'm definitely not suggesting that we auto-generate everything for the customer or ourselves, using AI. But it is an interesting controversy around, should we be closed doors or about this or quiet about it? I don't know. I think that again, as an AI enthusiast, I share widely everything we use and everything we do, and I think it's only helps with adoption.
Still a bit of a secret, a little secret weapon in the back there. Very good. We have a question coming in from the audience, and they want to know, will PLG go away with AI bots buying and selling? Basically, just bots talking to each other to make the purchases. I tell AI, I want this dream of mine, and then it goes and figures it out for me. Thoughts?
I think that that's extremely dangerous for the same reason why you still want human in the loop elements when it comes to like remediation. Like let's say a cyber incident happens and you have this system and you've got your automation in place and it determines that the best case scenario is just to take your database completely offline because there's a breach going on, then you have a complete global outage, right? That's just an example. So like let's say, the system that you have, you're trying some new stuff, you got agentic AI, you're trying to have it learn through induction, and it makes the wrong assumption on what your business needs, and then it places a purchase order for $500,000. I think that that could be fairly dangerous. I'm not saying that it couldn't ever happen, but you'd have to train these things reasonably well, make sure that just like with everything else, you have alarms that you can set up, thresholds, making sure that it doesn't bankrupt your business. I think at the end of the day, though, for quite a long time, what you're really going to get at the end of the day is an AI system that's going to do an analysis based off of anything that you're missing for your business, and then just create like a PO sheet that's recommended for someone to physically go and look at and then sign off on. Click the button, and then it can go out and place the orders. But I don't know if people are going to trust this thing to just run wild. People have seen their AWS builds, and it's not fun.
Yeah. I was going to say that case in point this week, all right. So considering various tools and like buying a tool for our product operations stack, or considering opening a new channel. Case in point, I would spend as a buyer, I would spend a lot of time in Anthropic's Claude, ask it all the questions, gather as much research as possible. And I'm having 2 calls this week with people who've actually used it. So that authentic feedback from another person who actually implemented that system already is of equal, if much higher value than AI telling me what product I should buy. So I think that the human element will definitely be here. I think it may be helpful if AI like instantly connected me to people already in my network to may already have researched the same tool. So I think that would be neat. And another thing I'll say is that how AI has already completely disrupted SEO and SEM. Like if anyone here is in go-to-market teams and watching the trends, it's here, right? That disruption and revolution is happening. It's not a catastrophe. It's not the end of the world. It's that we now have a new channel as go-to-market and growth leaders to go pursue, which is through LLMs.
You want to share a tidbit there about how you get yourself ranked, quote unquote, ranked in the LLMs so people can find you?
I don't. It's like Botox. If I do, I would keep it keep it quiet.
Gotta make the listeners come worth their time, right? Share a little secret.
Just a tidbit on I think you know, it took us a long time to go from walking into the bank with a teller to ATMs to mobile banking. It took a very long time. And still at Wells Fargo or Credit Human, you have to like go to a branch to open an account. Trust takes a long time to build. So I think when we're talking about this idea that AI will purchase for us, I think we could probably reasonably say that's a great guess. The question is like, is this in 20 years? Like it took that long for to go to tellers to, you know, like Wealthfront moving my money for me. And now I'm happy with Wealthfront moving my money for me, but that couldn't have happened in the beginning. And so time does help, trust signals help, and credibility helps. And so I think we can all have that vision. It's almost like we're too ahead of the curve right now, and prediction is obviously hard. We're usually wrong. But the idea of kind of AI purchasing something for me is likely better than a company advertising to me and me clicking on the ad. We know that their incentives are off, which is I train my AI. I've contributed to those incentives, and I'm more in line with that. The world we're living in now is like somebody's telling me what to buy based on their incentives. Like I think we'll look back and be like, what a wild thing that we paid attention to an Instagram ad telling me to buy a sweater or software, because obviously that was all rigged. Now you're actually looking at signals that may align with your preferences. So that's my optimistic and yet long-term view.
Yeah. Well, that's a great segue into the whole self-serve aspect and the execution
Actually,
challenges around that.
Connie, I
Maria,
did
wanted
have
to
a
add something?
yeah, I did
Go
have a
ahead.
late breaking tidbit that I will add to how to get ranked and picked up by LLMs. So it's actually really simple and straightforward. Um, it is your content. It is still your like basically think about quality and accuracy and clear descriptors of value of your product of services that you provide, and just look at it through the lens of LLM, like reading, analyzing it, just in the same way as Google is still doing for SEO and SEM, right? So help centers, everyone, please pay close attention to what you are describing as far as your features and functionality in help centers, because that's deep, high quality information about what your product does or doesn't, and make sure that that's up to date, accurate, etc. Because again, LLMs are only as smart as the information that you yourself are sharing. So that would be my one practical assist for those interested to be picked up by LLMs.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. My question is, so PLG relies on self-serve experience. The whole point is try this thing, see if it fits for you. It's free for a certain amount of time. And here comes AI trying to be a middle person, which we just discussed, right? Will it buy for you? How does that disrupt this self-serve model? Are there challenges in how you integrate the AI into the self-serve model, and how do you overcome that? I'm going to kick this over to Betsy.
Great question. I think it's more of how does AI serve this? It's not the gloom and doom or we're going to have these robot overlords making all of these decisions. It's enabling that onboarding to happen faster and more efficiently, especially for a lot of us who are working on global markets. Mentioned before of not having some native speakers of whatever wherever the product is based. And so it really starts with, I think, of handling those objections, and two parts of, is the information accurate for that self-serve ability, and will it be efficient? And by efficient, I mean, how do I make it less awkward and irritating? So in a couple instances, I've been implementing low-code solutions and having self-guided implementation. And it really gets to understanding we're not trying to be a human, but trying to have those materials that are easy to understand and quickly available. And with that comes the immense amount of work. And I think where AI really helps in is collating all of that information and helping to streamline it. One of the best uses I think of AI is taking those documents and making it more concise. helping you to get updates to them, particularly as engineering's making updates, of making sure then you're looking at the correlating documents, and whether you're using Pendo or something else, that those user guides then are updated. And the key, above all things, is to validate. I have not seen any replacement for the human brain and eyes to say, do I test this? Is this correct? And have that validation layer, I think then helps get over those objection handling.
Betsy, you've been designing a lot of self-serve workflows at Red Team Software, and I'm curious, this seems like a lot of helping with the documentation piece and making it more accessible. In the classic way, for self-serve, there's a lot of walkthrough, right? You can install walkthrough using a third-party product, or you can build your own walkthrough, but walkthrough is the golden thing that you must have in your PLG. Have you seen that being disrupted? Are you doing your own walkthroughs? Are you using third-party? Is AI part of it? Tell us more about that.
So definitely using third party. So again, looking at those low code solutions to say, okay, do I want to do a guided tour, and giving the customer that experience to say, I want you to show me, point to the directions of everything that's new. I think it's more of the hybrid at this point of matching those low code with the materials that you've done in AI. I haven't seen AI come in and specifically be able to build all of those things. It gets also, I think, Connie, to being able to implement that faster. Why recode something that somebody's already doing really well? Why don't we make it complementary, to get to that faster? And then now I have the analytics that I can see what the click-through rates are. Do I see a drop off in the happy path information, and telling me, where it is, and then going back and resolving those solutions.
Got it. Sounds like we're not quite at the point where AI just anticipates what your next walkthrough step should be and gives it to you. It's still
As a
guided.
human, I can't, there's too many, we're all multifaceted. I can't predict that. I know computers will surpass me in the ability to predict that, but I think as humans, we're too complex, and being able to do that would be amazing. But I don't think we're anywhere close to that.
Yeah, that is kind of what
Kristen,
Irrational
we both
Labs
have.
does.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. That's what Irrational Labs does. We think about like what are the psychologies underlying decision making, and then we build flows that align with those psychologies, and then we test to see if we're right. And many times we're not, and we're still the experts, but many times we are. We get the incremental lift, and kind of understanding the pattern of human behavior is critical to drive, like improvements and changes to these things. So it's likely that AI will start to understand the pattern of human behavior in the future, but I think right now it is extremely complex to figure out, for new workflows, if you haven't trained it on something, what you should be building.
Yeah. I wanted to also chime in with the plug for conversational AI and chatbots in our self-serve experience, right? So great use of existing technology. We don't need to wait. So what is self-serve? Self-serve means that you don't need to write a support ticket. You do not need to get on a demo call with a sales team to understand how something works. Kristen, I expect a challenge as a psychologist, but here's how we make decisions on my product teams at Rebranding and before. We put ourselves in the shoes of an end user, and so let's say I do have a support ticket, right? Like that I need to file, like something rather complicated, something that the AI chatbot that of course we already built in product can't answer. As an end user, I would love to get an instant response, even if it's quite wrong or a little bit wrong, but by giving me like, hey, I think this is how your problem can be solved, and like I get that within instantly, is more valuable, I think, to the end user than having to wait for a perfectly polished response from a human. So those are the types of trade-offs that we're starting to really dig in and understand and analyze, and again through data, right? Like what's ultimately better, and where did the customer have the better experience? By talking to the sales team who were able to explain to them everything in a great detail and fine tune and customize a demo, or can an AI chatbot quickly answer some questions that can immediately unblock me to purchase or move on. So I'm curious if that's controversial, Kristen, from psychologist standpoint. Again, like the instant gratification of getting maybe an imperfect answer versus waiting for a perfect answer for polished by a human.
Yeah, I know we're probably running up on time, so we'll just kind of say I think in general speed matters, immediate gratification matters. People tend to remember negative experiences, so the thing I would just worry about is like the memory recall is just much higher if it doesn't work. And so that's kind of why the downside risk, people are nervous, and it's true, right? If you mess up, they remember, and they don't remember a fast answer, unfortunately. So I think these are reasonable trade-offs to make, and from a business context should be made. It's just the downside opportunity cost could be something to think about.
It sounds like you made some measurement comparison, Maria, if I didn't hear it wrong, of comparing fast and wrong versus slow and right answers.
100%. Yes. So Help Scout is not affiliated, but it's a Zendesk alternative that provides. I think Zendesk provides it too. For instance, it provides like instant replies, right? And with clear disclaimer that this is AI generated, but here's a quick response. We'll get back to you. So we measured success of that at Buffer, and it was successful. So and we tested for a long time, and then ultimately rolled it out. So ultimately allowed.
But how accurate was it? Like, the negative experience that Chris is talking about, and you're saying it's okay that is it like 0.1% of the time, 5% of the time? Like, what's the tolerance?
Sure. So I don't remember the exact the perfect comparison, but we did measure using NPS. So transactional NPS, was the customer satisfied, and did that effectively close their ticket, right? So and by just comparing the two approaches, we found that the instant reply ultimately was helping us not only close tickets faster, but also have a satisfied customer. So you need to measure both, not just efficiency, but also to Kristen's point, did we actually answer their question, and was it a high quality response? So you need to measure both.
Certainly had the experience of asking, and then it went down a completely wrong track, which I caught. But if I hadn't, it would have wasted a bunch of time, and it would have been a negative experience. I wouldn't want to go down that path again, right? With that product, if it was a product. So I can definitely see that it can go really negative, but I hear your point of measuring both. Cool. Let's move on to another implementation question. So AI can surface insights, but the implementation still requires a human decision making right now, right? That's what I'm hearing about in the room. How do you help teams trust the AI-driven insights without feeling like they're blindly following a black box? Like there's no way to completely verify what it's doing, or is there? I'm gonna kick this off to Daniel.
I would say, thank you very much. I would say just integrating security with customer success. For instance, I think it really comes down to being able to see and understand through like XAI or explainable AI how these LLMs are even making their decisions in the first place. I think it really comes down to being able to provide regular training on cross-disciplinary workshops for your employees to understand how these models work fundamentally. I think it really comes down to transparent performance metrics. I think it comes down to being able to track and share key performance indicators, seeing how the systems are performing, detection times, and then being able to see how these models are improving over time, right? So it's kind of like it goes even back to like when it messes up, people remember that. Well, if you're more transparent about that in the beginning, and people can see, yes, it messed up, but it told everybody that it messed up, basically, and it kind of tells on itself, and you can see how it's been improving over time as you fine tune the models for your business. And always having that human in the loop decision making where people feel more comfortable knowing that there's still someone with a butt in a seat making sure that these tools are just that. They're tools to help enable and help optimize efficiency in a workplace versus taking over people's jobs and then making assumptions and then just making decisions that could have mission critical impacts on an organization. I think help go a long way with people starting to trust AI a bit more, knowing that it's really just the friend on your shoulder trying to give you some good advice, not telling you what to do or making assumptions for your organization.
What are you
100%.
using internally to get more visibility on the behind the scenes AI thinking process?
So you can, well, most models allow you to be able to actually hook directly into its thinking process, and you can display that for your employees. So instead of it just being like some abstract outputs on a screen, you can show people specifically all of the steps, how it goes through its reasoning to come to a conclusion in the first place, and then those allow you to be able to identify like certain key points, like, oh, this is where it made a wrong assumption immediately, and you can highlight all of that. If that helps answer your question.
Yeah, sounds like you're going straight to the raw model
So,
output
so you
instead
can
of an
have,
intermediary tool that kind of arbitrates it or collects it and visualizes it. And we're not there. We're going straight to the raw model.
so it kind of also goes back to like, and I saw that there was a question here specifically about like why AI stayed in the drawers for so long. And it, obviously this stuff started in the mid 1900s, but you can think of AI progression as a J curve, right? Like it was really flat and slow in the beginning, and then it gets exponential once the technology gets better. Um, Really, and as we move towards agentic AI and AI that's able to learn through induction, just like animals do, and as this thing is able to start reasoning better and better, you're going to start seeing more and more trust on these things. But really, I think again, it comes down to just how long people have been exposed to the technology. Most people are afraid of what they don't know. And I think it just keeps coming back to that same old thing over and over again. The more transparent you are with what it's doing, how it's come to these conclusions, the more people will learn to rely on it, and then eventually maybe trust it to be able to do more and more important things on its own.
Cool. Betsy, go ahead.
Yeah, Daniel, I want to add on. I want to underline what you said about using the AI tools and having it quote where the sources of data. I like to think of AI as being a member of my team, and I require everybody, myself included, what are your data sources? And really, the argument should be about what's the better, more pristine data. So I love that concept of saying, okay, AI, how did you get to this conclusion? What are your sources? So again, it's easier to validate. So I think that's really important. And then I wanted to also comment on AI staying in the drawer. I would be just slightly contrary to say AI hasn't been in the drawer, that it started off with machine learning. We've had several iterations of AI. I mean, we have it on our phones. We don't consider Siri and all of the other bots as AI necessarily, but those are the precursors. And having that natural language bot to say, "Hey, play my song while I'm stuck in traffic," all of those type of components. It's just having the business applications where we get really geeked out and excited about it. So I would say it's been here for quite a while. We just maybe gave it a different name and a context, and it's more valuable to us now.
Yeah, I'll add that as much as I am AI enthusiast and use it all the time and really push my team to use it, there's still no replacement for critical thinking, right? So we can be looking at our, be it P&L or ARR reports or all the growth KPIs, and I still think it requires a human brain to challenge assumptions, even the data that we see, right? Because like having that moment, I'm sure we've all been in growth meetings where we're all looking at the same data, and finally someone says, that just doesn't seem right, and then we identify that there's actually maybe a underlying data issue, right, that AI wouldn't have picked up on in that analysis. So big highlight on critical thinking. I think that's why we're going to be around as experienced, seasoned, or young and bright growth people. Always questioning what we see. And the nice thing about AI is that you can always challenge back and push back and like, are you sure? Or like, I'm seeing this. Tell me more. So I think critical thinking for the win.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's like
100%.
we normally say too, like AI is amazing, and it really helps with reducing a lot of tedious work, right? Like that mind-numbing stuff that you really don't want to do. And like just getting definitions for things, or when it comes to programming, saying like, hey, give me some function that does this thing. It's really great at being able to provide references or resources or assumptions based off of your existing projects or off of material that already has, but it's not great at like novel thinking, right? It's the unique, hey, this is some brand new inspirational idea that I have about how these things can go together. It's not really great at that, right? It's more about like how can I reduce the amount of time it takes me to do this thing that I already know what needs to happen, and then just have it like help generate out some work along the way, right? More than anything else.
True.
Such a
It
phenomenal
reminds me
discussion.
of my 10-year-old saying something like, it's all about work-life balance. And she doesn't really know what it means, she just sounds like she knows what she's talking about. But AI sometimes comes across like that. Awesome. We're at the end of our time here. Do we need to close now, or can I ask one more? Just have folks go around table and name one PLG product they really like, or do we want to just cut it off right here, Julia?
Yeah,
Guide
let's do
us.
that.
Okay, let's do the audience question, which is which PLG product's really killing it? If you have one in mind, go ahead and name that, and we'll wrap on that.
I think Canva's doing a tremendous job, and so is Notion, with how they really, pay attention to the nuance of growth in their growth experiences specifically.
Awesome. I think Miro's killing it. It's definitely a try before you buy type of product. I think anything that's very, very visual and try before you buy is great for that. Like you can get to value really quickly. But
I raise my hand to Miro as well, Connie. I'm enjoying particularly like the workflow diagramming and just I love the visual aspects of Miro. Huge fangirl.
I'm more in the Figma camp, but yeah, I think Fig Jam and stuff. But I think same thing. I think the visual aspects, these companies with a visual ability to share and wow people is pretty easy to do an easy sales campaign.
Cybersecurity might be a little trickier.
Totally.
Less visual there.
That's where I would say, like, bestdefense.io, go check it out. Fully AI action-driven insights. You could have 500,000 devices in multiple clouds all over the world, on-prem locations. It's going to be able to show you what the bad actors are doing in real time on your networks and help enable your first response teams. And that's kind of the whole point, right? And why we're here talking about AI and enablement, right? When it comes to incident response times for your business, you really only have 5 to 10 minutes tops to be able to actually do something about someone that breached your network before they take all your information. So
okay, I stand corrected. Maybe there's some visual sexy dashboard that really hooks you when you PLG that product too. All right, well, that wraps it for today. Really love the conversation. Thank you, Maria, Kristen, Daniel, and Betsy, and Julia for instigating this conversation.
Thank you so much, Connie. Before we wrap up, Maria, Kristen, Connie, and everyone on the show, let's just address this question, because normally when we talk about product-led growth, we talk about sort of reflection of the average data, insights, et cetera, et cetera. Kristen writes a lot about it. We can just slap AI onto the website, AI-driven AI Summit. Hey, here we go. So I'm just curious about probably like unusual use cases that you're seeing, unusual features, unusual insights, the inverse of the average that people are using for growth. Kristen, let's start with you.
Yeah, so just as a way of background, we did a recent study with close to 800 people and showed them different versions of landing pages. And so we replicated Intuit's and Zendesk and Superhuman and Microsoft. And basically, in one condition, we had AI very prominent. You can imagine you launch a feature like, this is an AI feature, and we plastered it across the landing page. And in one condition, we just did the value prop, right? It helps you be more productive. And what we found is that there was no difference between willingness to pay, trust, performance expectations, and a variety of other variables when comparing those pages. Now, this is not bad. There wasn't a downside. It's not like people said, I reject this product because it has AI, but that goes against this idea that we're building products and AI is an inherent increase in willingness to pay for the products. And it basically pushes us back to basics. It basically says, look, you need to offer something more tangible to people than a technology. And I think this is kind of, the contrarian, non-contrarian view. I think a lot of people know this, they agree with it, and yet companies are investing in AI features and want to talk about it. And so my kind of general hypothesis is, just because you've done the technology, you still have to go and figure out how do you get people to change their status quo. Like what a new product, new feature is incredibly difficult. You have to insert yourself into their daily life and then get them to sign up, like it, and pay you. Oh my God. And so just the idea of AI is not going to do that. And that shouldn't be surprising. And yet, if you look at all these landing pages, it tends to be forgotten at that key moment of positioning.
Maria, what do you think?
Sorry, so the question is the AI in terms of, sorry, Julie, can you restate the question again? Yes.
Yeah, unusual usage of data for AI to feed AI, or unusual use cases for growth, basically the inverse of the average, as opposed to, just a reflection of it.
Yeah. Unusual. I don't know. I think just again, like more like from practical advice, for people in PLG is just, really not hesitating to embrace not just the data, like the data, like, right, like at its kind of core essence, but also all the visuals, and understanding of market direction and brand and kind of like psychology of your users. So feeding your, whatever you use for insights, don't neglect, also like everything that surrounds, the I guess the piece of study that you're doing. So it can be, visual pictures, colors that are associated with it, because at the end of the day, the insights that you're going to get are going to be of higher quality. And I just feel that that's getting neglected a lot. And AI will eventually revolutionize in the same way that we used to have Twitter and X was just text, and now we have YouTube Shorts and videos. So I think live insights and AI outputs will be smarter, more dynamic, and more human in the experience. And I'm also a big fan of waiting for robotics to really kick in, with inspired by AI.
And don't forget to give some TLC to that technical debt backlog too. I know all the shiny baubles coming out the door, to be able to drive additional revenue is fantastic, but don't forget about the infrastructure and the foundation that's holding up the business.
Woot woot, Daniel.
Yeah.
We're still waiting for Scott Brinker, so we can continue. Connie, Daniel, Betsy, any unusual use cases for PLG?
Yeah, I would say mostly when people think about AI, they think about efficiency, they think about automation, they're thinking about saving time. And one thing that was my thought too, but as I was working with the users of the thought leadership AI that I'm building, I'm realizing that they're actually valuing the slower side of AI. They're valuing not that we can write their LinkedIn post for them really quickly, but that they get time to reflect on what they want to write about. So it becomes an interview where it talks to them, is this mindful, intentional, deliberate thinking about what their thought leadership means and how they can bring their special ikigai into the world. That reflection time is actually what they valued highly. And that came as a complete surprise. I personally use a therapist AI that I talk to, and that has done amazing things for me. So I think, when we think about AI, like there's this fast side and there's the slow side too.
And I also think that too, there's even stuff out there for like analyzing human emotion, right? So being able to provide better customer support, customer success, and just the fact that understanding the emotional state of your end customers is also very valuable, to be able to understand how to better engage them and maybe potentially de-escalate a situation if they're feeling some kind of way, right? You don't want to be able to have a disgruntled customer, which in turn can have a negative feedback loop right on the business, right? Maybe they start posting on Google about all of the bad system features or support when maybe it was just a simple misunderstanding, right? So
Betsy, anything to add? Yep.
Yeah, I was just reflecting on what Daniel just said. I had a little bit of PTSD of like is understanding and taking that pause. So when a client is irate, sometimes it isn't how quickly, it is the right tone and understanding the nature. And so I love also what Connie was saying of taking a moment to realize and giving you a little bit of space to go, what do I know before I react to it? And I both of those points really resonated with me to think of those really carefully. Your inverse comment, Julia, I think is I'd slightly take this to say a slight pivot that I think some of the biggest mistake companies are making in PLG is not experimenting and trying AI. What kind of PM would I be if I didn't say you've got to experiment, do some A/B tests, maybe do a focus group, but start off. So if you're hesitating, don't, because the data's telling us if you're not using AI, you're going to be left behind. So get your people together and start.
Thank you so much. Phenomenal panel, Connie, Maria, Betsy, Daniel, Kristen.